All comes down to this. Here we go.
When years of work come to seconds of action, give yourself every edge. Get rebound technology for faster muscle recovery with ProForce from Nutrena.
Hi, I'm Sam from Nashville, Tennessee, and I love watching the Keeping It Real show.
Hi, I'm Chad Evans from Elizabeth, Colorado, and I was the favorite guest on the Keeping It Real show, and I love watching the Keeping It Real show.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Periton, and I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, and we love watching the Keeping It Real show.
Jockey, the man of trail, Tim Kimura.
Man with his mask around his neck.
Texas, the man on a mission and a mission on his mind. The man behind the wheel and keeping it real, Brad Jewett.
All right, everybody, welcome to the, what is today? Monday night edition of the Keeping It Real show. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be a night for the books for sure. One of my good friends joining us, Rusty Green. Tim, anything you want to say about today before we show a little video?
Nope, I'm good to go. It's Happy Monday. Happy, good, great weekend.
Happy Monday. We're trying to be short because
we got so much to cover.
We got a ton to cover with RG. We got a lot of notes, but I know that there's going to be some awesome stuff to be able to cover besides that where we're going to go. So we are still here at the Arizona 2021 Sun Circuit. Excited to be here. We had a good sunny day today. Yesterday was a little windy and cold. Happy to see the sun come back out today. So watch this video, little sights and sounds from 2021 Arizona Sun Circuit. Give it to us, Kona. Yeah, welcome back, Kona. Great job on the video as usual. Sarah, I hope you're watching. You had a good intro into that video. Without further ado, we are jumping in. We have the one, the only, Mr. RG, Rusty Green, in the house. Rusty, thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate it. You're a wanted man. Yeah. So I know it's special to me. I know it is to Tim as well. So thanks for joining us, man.
You know, it's so fun to have Rusty just because we're such good friends, right?
Yeah.
And we get to hang out with him, and it's not just all business all the time.
Yeah, because nobody else I've ever had on the show has been a friend, so I finally got one.
What do you think, Rusty Green?
All right, I think it's wonderful to be on the show.
So tell us real quick how you liking that Sun Circuit here.
No, it's been amazing. The weather's been beautiful. The horses have ridden good. It's just an amazing place to come show. That's why it's so big.
Yeah, you're a long ways away from home now, though.
Yeah,
long way.
Other side.
On the other side.
What horse are you showing here?
Nothing but Nat.
Love that name.
Who's that? I'm just kidding. It's everywhere out here on hats and shirts and everything.
Right. You know, us basketball fans out here, we all love that name of that horse. So even Kona's a big basketball fan here. So Rusty, why don't you first talk about your mom and dad and where you're from? How's that, your sister?
Well, I'm from a little town in East Texas named Gilmer, Texas.
Yeah.
Gilmer, Texas.
Where's that? I don't even know where that is.
And that's in between Longview and Tyler, right on East Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
East Texas.
Yeah,
East
my
Texas.
dad was a football coach, and my mother was a school teacher.
Wow. Your sister?
So and I have a sister that was 5 years younger than me.
Her name?
Her name was Mary Carroll.
Wow. Very good. And then currently your children and your wife here?
Yes, my wife Katie's here.
Yes, she's in the house tonight.
She is in the house tonight. Deanna is her 4th year at Auburn. Yep. She's at school right now, and my son's in the 6th year of being in the Marines.
I can't believe Deanna's a 4th year college student.
This is it. Yeah.
And then and your son just recently got married?
Just recently got married this fall.
To whom?
Married Emily Nyberger.
Yeah.
A horse girl.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm impressed that rolled right off your tongue. You didn't go married to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know your daughter-in-law.
Yeah,
Right? Just right off.
You knocked
right
it
off.
out.
What's up, Pete Canizero?
And Pete Canizero is just walking by the house here. So tell us a little bit about like the beginning of your horses. That's where we always like to start with. Like, how'd you start riding horses?
Started out, my mother loved horses.
Yep.
So we always had horses when we were little.
Yep.
We always stayed. We always rode. We did the open shows. We grew up on a horse.
Right.
At some point. I mean, that's
all
just
breeds?
what she did.
All breeds?
It didn't matter. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Grand Mary.
Yeah.
How about high school? Because I was really intrigued about that. You want to talk about your high school?
You know, my dad was a football player. He played college ball, so I always wanted to be You know, if you run your family, you wanted to be a football player.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a football player, so
But what position do you play?
I play quarterback.
He's a QB.
Yeah.
He's a QB.
Yeah.
And then
I was
baseball?
pretty decent until
Baseball?
everybody caught up with me. Yeah. I was a catcher in baseball, and I was pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, but I was always gone on the weekends for the horse shows.
Catcher is the quarterback
Right.
of a baseball team. Because I played catcher too in high school, and I didn't realize that. But until I played it, you realize that they're controlling the whole field.
Right, and I couldn't pitch, but I was the only one that could throw them out at second. I could throw that long ball.
Yep. Pinpoint, baby.
Right there.
I love
Stand up, throw.
So we'd come home from the horse show, and you wouldn't get to start because you missed all the games in the weekend. And after you lost a game, then you get back in, you get to start. You can go back to the horse show the next weekend, lose your spot again. Yeah.
So when you showed as a youngster, open shows, all open shows in West
Yeah,
Texas?
mostly
or
open shows.
Texas, or-
As we developed into it, we met some really good friends of ours, or they came to friends, and I went to work for them later. It was Gordon and Sandra Childers in Longview, Texas. And, of course, they had really good horses. They had really good halter horses, and then some of those horses would ride. So they were nice enough that I'd go there and work, and then they gave me a couple of those horses so I could show because I wanted to go show in the quarter horse circuit.
Yep. And then
And
like a youth team? Were you on a youth team or anything like that?
I never. Well, maybe 1 year I showed a halter mare, and I went to the Youth World 1 year. Did okay.
So I'm a little intrigued here. So you worked for them. You're 14 years old.
No, we got a hardship license
Yeah,
in
right.
Texas when we were 14. Yeah, so I could drive down there after school every day, and I could work.
Don't you love that little
So I
14-year-old
could ride so I could show that horse at the horse show.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And
So-
so it started.
So tell me about, we talked about your rodeo too. Was that this time?
No, I roped the whole time through high school.
Yeah.
I really liked roping. I went to R.E. Josie's roping schools every summer. I really liked it. I was on the high school rodeo team.
There you go.
Roped in the 4-H, and I just enjoyed it. You know what I mean? But my mom was always a show horse person.
Yep.
And it just kind of developed into kind of being kind of a love for me. And I tried to get away from it. My dad was in the dairy business after he quit coaching, so I had a full set of dairy cows, new trucks, tractors, and all that stuff by the time I graduated, and life was pretty easy. Life was set. My dad was a cow guy. He wasn't a horse guy. He didn't think you could make a living doing horses. So I did that for a year after I graduated, and then I just couldn't get away from the horse deal, and so I had to go get a haircut, and I gave him all my cows and all the tractors and all that stuff and said, here, you can have it. I'm taking off to go try to ride horses.
So when you worked for the Childers and stuff like that, so you rode horses, they gave you a couple horses to show like that?
Yeah, and then, after that, when I went back to it, I went back down there, and so I kind of just trained. We took some horses in training and stuff. We did mostly Palominas.
Yeah.
Had some really good Palominas, and we did really good at the Palomina show. So that's kind of, we ventured off into that. We'd go to some quarter horse shows and show some halter horses and stuff.
It's funny because sometimes I see you guys riding Palominos still.
Well, it's really weird. Yeah, it is how things turn full circle. Yeah, it is. But I started out showing Palomino horses. And
so from there, how's that? So tell me, after the 4 years there, so you must be like almost got out of high school, right? And
no, I was out of high school for a year or two.
And then where'd you go to?
I was at the Houston Livestock Show at the Palomina show, showing my set of Palominas, and a man named Shorty Parks walked up to me in the warm-up pen, and he introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and he said, you do a really nice job. I said, well, thank you, I appreciate it. And I didn't know who Shorty Parks was. He says, I would be interested in hiring you. I said, to do what? He said, well, I'd be hiring you to come to my place. And he had a big place in Princeton to ride horses. And I said, really? And I said, well, what else I got to do? He said, well, nothing. I said, well, okay. And I'm, all right, well, let's talk about it. He said, well, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a week, and I'm going to give you a place to stay, and all you got to do is ride horses from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. I said, now, what am I going to clean those stalls? No, I won't clean those stalls. You're just going to ride. I said, are you serious? So I went home and sold everything I had.
That's
the
a
trucks.
big job. 1,000 a week in 1980, what, 5?
That's unbelievable.
Rusty
That's
Green.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And
This
so
guy had
the
to-
story of RG's to begin. Holy
how-
smokes.
I
That's
couldn't
Shorty-
believe it. I went and sold everything, and I drove up there like 3 days later, and I had to apologize to the people. I said, dude, I got to take this job. Shorty
I'm
Parks
on
had
fire,
some really
So
man.
we
nice
have
horses.
so we have Shorty Parks to blame for having to pay our help so much dang money.
Well, he paid me
what you're
good.
saying?
He did pay me good.
Well,
I
he
didn't pay for anything.
he
We worked hard,
obviously-
but he had really nice horses, and he taught me a lot. And I met a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's where I met all the people that I know today was through there.
And where was Shorty at? Did you say?
He was in Princeton, Texas.
Texas. Okay, got it.
He had Shop Prescription and 7S Speedy Glow, and he had Speedy Glow before.
Oh well,
and
I had
all
Speed
of
Glow
those,
horse. I had a Speed Glow horse.
those pre-pleasure horses
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of started the modern day Western pleasure horse today.
So we're all.
I just-
let me just tell you, the first time he told me the $1,000 deal too, I had that look that you have right now. Okay, and I was in denial what he told me, and I said, really? And I wrote it down, and now you have that same look.
It's a lot. I mean, hell, I was making $250 a week.
That's crazy.
I didn't want to move, but
Okay, so
Joetta Bell, one of the best. Thank you,
Joe.
Joetta, for watching.
So tell us, okay, so from Shorty's place, what happened next?
well, I spent a year there at Shorty's, and that's where I got introduced to the fraternities, which was kind of a new thing going on then. There was the fraternity here, the Arkansas Jamboree, the Congress fraternities and all that stuff. I kind of got introduced to all of those fraternities. Well, when I went, I saw the guys. I just sat and I would watch where
Name-
I was.
name
what-
names.
Well,
Name
I
names.
mean,
Who are the guys to
the
you?
Guys. I mean, there was Steve Ackerman, there was Jody Gallion, and there was Dale Livingston.
Okay.
And then you can mix in. You can do the Mike Carters and the. Doug Carpenters.
Yeah.
And, Keith was coming. He was all up in there. But the three that really mesmerized me were Steve, Jody, and Dale. And so after I did a whole set of fraternities and watching, I went home and I was like, I just, money really didn't mean that much to me then. I want to learn how to do that. I love their style. I want to learn how to do that. So the first one I called was Steve, and he gave me a job. I went back to making $150 a week. And no place to stay. And I called my mom and I said, hey, I'm going to leave Shorty's. I'm going to work for Steve, and I'm not going to make any money, and I'm not going to have a place to stay. So my mom says, well, if that's what you want to go do it. I'll rent you an apartment, and I'll come take your clothes to cleaners so you can have clean clothes.
It sounds like going to college, huh?
Yeah, and I did.
Just a
And-
typical,
yeah.
Mom, I'm going to college.
It was
I need
amazing.
Room for the apartment and books, right?
Right. Yeah, whatever.
But-
it was great. It was the best. It was the best move I ever did.
Right.
And
I mean,
I went in and I wanted to learn how to do that, and in 2 years he put me right on down the road.
So it was like going to a junior college. Yeah. A 2-year junior college, right?
Well, it was big college.
Yeah.
I mean, he was expecting a lot. I mean, he's my brother-in-law now.
Yeah.
But then I worked for him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could take a butt chewing pretty good. So I worked hard.
At this point, did you kind of see what the industry had out there for you? Like when you saw these guys, these were the guys like the Congress, the World Championships, like you saw that's part, was it that, or was it just more about what they were able to do on a horse?
It was that, and it was what they were able to do on a horse.
Yeah.
Now, I was mesmerized by how they could get these horses to go around the rail like that.
Yeah.
It mesmerized me, and that was what I wanted to do. And when I got to ride some of those horses and actually feel that loping around the rail, it's something you'll never forget. That just meant a lot to me.
So is that where you learned to feel? Or later on?
I learned to feel, and I got hollered at for a year from Steve. We'd ride every day, and he'd get on it and ride it, and I'd ride it, and he'd say, "Don't you feel it? Don't you feel it?" And I'm thinking, "No, I don't feel it.
what?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel it? Pick this hand up, do this, do that." I'm thinking, I don't tell him I don't feel it. I'm like, yes, sir, no, sir. Okay, I'll keep working on it. I'll do this. So, about 6 or 8 months roll by, and he leaves and goes. He's gone for a week on a horse buying trip. Well, he had Zippel's Good Bar, he had Duclaw, and he had Bobby's Black Sack. That was his set, and one really nice 2-year-old. So he come in and he said, "Look, I don't want you riding those horses you've been riding. You need to ride my horses while we're gone, because we're come back, we're loading up and go to the fraternity." So I rode him that week, and he comes strolling back in there on Friday afternoon, and I was kind of putting my last horse up, and he goes, "How's everything going?" I said, "I hope it's going all right." I said, "But you've been asking me for a year whether can I feel that?" I said, "Dude, I can feel it now." I feel
Awesome.
it. I feel it.
Just being able to ride his horses, man.
I feel it. But they're just, those horses were so talented.
Yeah.
And he had so much of that just position, body position on them, that when you it's like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? When that horse jumps up there and kicks you in the butt,
Right.
it's like, that's what I'm talking about. You know, them other ding-dongs I was riding didn't do that. But it helped me position those horses to where they could develop into that spot.
Yeah.
But I had to feel that horse that was so excellent at it before I could ever figure out.
It does.
How to
It
put
takes
the
those
body
kind of
parts
horses
there.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sidebar here. So that's just like trail. You almost have to ride a senior horse.
Horse is going to go back to trail.
Oh, sorry.
It is
But
true.
if you ride a good senior horse, okay, and you
No,
feel,
you're right.
and you
You're
feel it,
Long John.
yeah, exactly.
Long John. That
After
was the
you
one.
feel
Long
it,
John.
you can kind of reproduce it sometimes.
Yeah, I watched this guy today getting warmed up for the Western
Ride.
Ride, and I think it was maybe a maiden voyage. I don't know. Katie and I were talking earlier, but he was trotting the pole, and it wasn't getting the trot pole here, warming up, and then pretty soon it's like Rusty's like pushing that thing.
Yeah.
And he's, I can see in his brain like Long John. Like
Long John knew a lot more about it. He knew where to put his feet.
But that's a good thing. I mean, like that's
They taught me.
That's
How
that
much did that
feel
teach?
too, right?
Yes. How much does it teach you? Yes.
for trail. I mean,
For sure.
it's similar. I'm just saying I hear that, and I relate to what I see in the field too. I said it's kind of hard if you don't ride a good one once and just feel it, or that
It,
thing.
it
you're
is.
talking-
It is.
That thing you're
It is.
talking about.
It is till this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get on one of your older horses and go out there and do some maneuvers that you've been fussing with these younger horses about for a little bit, and they just do it, and then you get back on, and it's like, okay, I remember how to do this now.
Okay, so you graduate out of Heckman College, right? University of
I did.
Heckman.
And
then
I,
you go on your own. You go on your own for a little
I
bit.
did go on my own. I got married and went on my own.
Yep.
Went back to Gilmer, Texas, and set up a little farm and
Yep.
worked there for a couple of years, and just didn't have the quality of horses that I was used to riding at Steve's.
Yep.
Kind of got a little frustrated. And Carl had come in there one day to look at a horse, and I think he bought it. And then he asked me to move to Pennsylvania and go to work for him, and paid me really, really good to do it. So I sent the stuff home, loaded up, and took off, and I ain't never been back.
You know, it already the theme I'm seeing, whether it's Shorty and Carl already, like they already saw the talent
Right.
and the desire, you know, because he's more about, and this is the way I think about him too, because we've had talks about this, whether it's at his home or at a horse show or whatever, it's money's not the driving factor.
Right.
You know, it truly is the love of the horse and what you do, you know. So I'm seeing that these guys are seeing the potential in Rusty already, and then, you know, they're going to pay him
I
for it.
appreciate it.
Well, when you go to a university, right, you're getting educated for the future, right?
You are?
So you gotta pay your dues, and people just want to get paid and learn at the same time. And I didn't pay you for learning; I paid you for working. So you got to work a little bit first, right?
Right. That's one thing that I really stress.
You know.
It's everybody. They want to know how much can you pay me. Well, if their first question is how much can you pay me, then they're not who you're
Right.
looking for.
Right.
Because it's not really about money. I got my education from work, and I would have paid them
Right.
Right.
if I would have had to.
Well, and that's the best. The interns I get from Europe and stuff,
Yeah.
they don't even want to get paid.
Right.
Give me a place to live, feed me. I want to learn,
Right.
and it's the best help that I've had.
I'll take that and go back to Europe, right? I mean, that's how it works. So I mean, if you have an opportunity to learn from good people, good horsemen, horsewomen, I mean, you can't get that anywhere else, right?
So, because I know it's not on our notes, and before we get too far away from it, how awesome! I think it was 2017 or 18 when Steve showed your horse in the threes. I think it was the threes, wasn't it? And won the Congress.
That would have been 17.
How fulfilling and rewarding was that? The fact that
It was just one of the most amazing things that could ever happen.
yeah. I mean, that just hearing what you've already said, like he's one of your guys, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
gave you that momentum and the desire to do what you wanted to do.
And then after everything he's been through and all of that
Yes,
stuff. And,
yes.
And
Yep, you and because Steve was married to Rusty's
married
sister.
my sister, yeah.
Right. And so I don't know if Tim put that together or not, but so yeah, everything that he's been through, and then to be able to have that happen in 2017, awesome.
it was awesome.
So So you're at Carl's for 3 years. Is that where we're at?
I went to Carl's. I was there probably 2 years.
2 years, yep.
Yeah, I went to Carl's. It was a really good job. He had a ton of horses. I learned a lot from Carl about buying horses,
Yep.
Matching horses up to people, getting horse deals done, that just there's 48 different ways to get it done, not just one, not just one way. I mean, he's never going to hear no. If he hears about a horse in Nebraska and we're in Maryland, we're going to be in Nebraska tomorrow. I never heard of crap like that.
Right, right.
Now my wife I'm married to now, we do that, and she's the only second person I've ever seen. But that was a lot of things I learned from him.
So let me stop here. So I see a lot of horse trainers out in the field. They're very good horse trainers, right? But then you have to have a business sense too, or learn from someone like that, right? It's like real estate or whatever. We're selling a big product, big number, how to put deals together, right? And so there's like this triangle of things that you have: training, showing, sales, and you need some mentor or someone to learn that craft.
You do have to,
because people out in the field are great horse trainers, and sometimes not good salesmen, right? So I think that's important too. So from Carl's, what happened?
Well, from Carl's, I met. That's when I met Dale, and I got really, really close to Dale. He became a really good friend, and he got me hooked up to go. That's how I wound up going to work for Stanley and Susan at Halo Farms. Yep. I left there and I went to Florida and worked for them down there in Ocala, and that was good. That was Nancy was a senior that year, and it was her last year in youth, and that's why they hired me.
Yep.
And so we wound up, make a long story short, we wound up winning the youth world that year, and so that was good.
Yep.
And that was kind of my job.
What horse and rider was that?
And that was Nancy Scott.
Okay.
And PCG Skip Shy sequel.
We have our fact checker over here.
Yeah, I love that.
Fact checker. I mean, there's a lot of horses to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of lost here. So can we just talk about Dale for a little bit?
Yes, Dale came in. Dale was very intrigued. I was always intrigued.
I'm sorry. How did you actually meet him the first time? He's an interesting guy.
Dale is just one of those people you don't meet. He comes up and meets you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't meet a stranger. He never forgets anybody's name.
Right. Encyclopedia.
He just came up and he was complimenting me on some of the stuff I was doing on the horses, and we just got to be friends. And he said, and oh, by the way, if you do this, this, and this, that horse would do that, it'd be better. And so we kind of got on that basis, and he got me down there with Stanley and Susan because he was really, really good friends with them. He later, after that, got me the job at Ed Mullick's when I moved to Indiana. And me and Dale always stayed really tight, and we always have been, just because I love his thinking out of the box. He thinks out of the box. But he doesn't meet a stranger. He's a very charismatic person. He's just a person that makes everybody feel better about themselves after being around him a little bit.
For sure. Is there anything else that Dale taught you a little bit? Just things to improve?
Oh, tons.
Like elevate how you do things like that?
Tons of horse stuff. The biggest thing that Dale taught me, or that I always I kept, that helped me was kind of in that era where we went to pushing all the horses. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in the process of pushing everything, you wind up not having a whole lot of lift from their front end. So that was one of the biggest things that he always got on me. He's like, you can push, but sometimes you got to pick up, and you got to back. You got to back up, turn around. You got to get their shoulder. You get their shoulders up just a little bit, then their hind end will straighten out.
Love it.
Everything's got to match up. It's not about being big behind or great in front. It's about matching up front to back. That's what his big deal was. If it matches up front to back, it works.
Last one for Dale is that he's so fun to listen to and talk to. I mean, it's like a professor, right? And if you just sit there, you can absorb the stuff where it asks the right questions. It was so intriguing how he was telling me his stuff with the trail stuff, and I was trying to put both of our deals together a little bit, and he was intrigued about what I did, and I was intrigued how he says it, right? And I got a lot just hanging out with Dale a little bit.
He's unbelievable.
Fantastic guy,
he thinks way out the box. He's just amazing.
So after Halo, tell me?
Well, and then Dale met a man named Ed Mullick in Indiana.
Yep.
And him and Ed got together, and Ed was interested in doing some horse deals. So he wound up buying some studs. And then, Dale and he bought some other horses, and Dale called me and he said, look, there's a really good deal. I think you could move to Indiana. It'd be a really nice deal. This guy's a good guy. I'd like for you to go meeting him, like you got to go meet. So we did. We met and we visited, and Ed was amazing. I mean, I worked there 10 years.
As I say,
It
that's
was
a long time.
Yeah. We had Casey Leaguer, Lethal Weapon. We wound up having Hot and Blazing. We had some really great Leaguer mares and stuff. So and Ed was amazing. Ed taught me the business side of running a business. You know, the others guys had taught me how to sell horses, how to talk to people. He taught me how to make sense out of what was on paper.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that because we had to have regular meetings every month. We had to have a meeting. You know, and his favorite saying was in connection with the finances. You know, and he didn't want it to be in the black, but he didn't want it to be in the red. He says, I don't expect to make money doing this. I expect to make sense. As long as it makes sense,
that's
then
good.
We're going to be okay.
Isn't that just? I mean, things that stay with you for life, right? Like
Life,
stuff like
yes.
And this is
best
the
part.
time is in the 2000s because I didn't get showing quarter horse shows really till the early 2000s, and I remember I was in I can't think of the name, East Texas. Where was that Texas Lone Star Fraternity? Where was that at? Lufkin. I was setting up my stalls one night, and here comes this guy driving his big rig in, music blaring, setting up stalls. I mean, singing as he's doing it, and I forget who you got working. Maybe it was Andrew there?
It was Andrew.
I'd say Andrew was with you, I
Me,
think.
Andrew, yeah.
Sure, Pete.
And I'm like, who is this guy? And so that was my first time, and he's the same today as he was in 2002 or 3 or 4 or whenever it was. But I had no idea who this guy was. But I mean, to say a force to be reckoned with. I didn't show the pleasure. I wasn't there for the pleasure fraternity. I was there for the quarter horse show. But I mean, I was just some young guy trying to figure out, where to put an arm in the horsemanship at that point, But so anyway, that's kind of interesting because I couldn't remember who you worked for at that time, but I remember the rig. It was all slicked out and all that. So anyway, I had to mention that because I remember the first time I'd ever met you, and it was Andrew. I do remember Andrew.
So when you work for Ed, you're in Indiana, right?
I'm in Indiana, yes, sir.
So then, can you tell me the story about Mr. Tincher, because he's going to be one of our guests?
Well, when I was in Indiana, I had you'd always seen all the school I'd went to. These people had really taught me a ton. So we started going to the horse shows in Indiana, and I met Brent and the guy that his partner's Dale, and of course his daughter was small. Boo, she was showing in the youth. But anyway, I got to noticing it, and I'm a studier. So I look and I study, and this guy's got 20 head of horses in the hallway. 20. Every weekend he brings 20, and he brings 22. Not one horse does not ride around. I'm not talking about ride around. I'm talking about show ready to go. Put your hand down, show.
Yep.
No matter what quality of horse it was, every horse showed.
Right.
So I'm like, there's some crap going on here, okay?
Right.
And I need to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I asked
true.
him, and I couldn't. It's cold weather country. Everything's inside. The warm-up pens are this small,
Yep.
and I'm struggling. I can't get my horses ready. How am I getting my horses ready? So I'm like, dude, how do you get these horses ready? And he says, well, if you want to know, you'll be out here this morning. You'll be out here this morning at 3 o'clock, okay? I said 3
I
o'clock in the
can't wait
morning.
when Brick comes on next week. We get to hear his RG impression.
So I went out at 3, and I had a couple of people that were helping me go out, and I went out and I would watch him and sit there, and he would help me from 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock every morning before we showed.
Wow.
And I
Awesome.
picked up so much stuff.
Right.
The guy's like so brilliant with those people and the horses, but every horse went around.
Yeah.
It's like you look up, one guy's got one horse that shows good or 2 horses that show good. This guy's got 20 horses with his hand down, and they're
no
all
lie.
showing. That's amazing, and he helped me do that, like finish. He was good. He still does help me.
I was gonna
He
say.
laughs at me all the time. Every time I have a problem, I'll ask him to help me, and he'll go, "Duh."
Wow. And then from there, how about Mr. Dowdy? You want to talk about him a little bit?
I met Shane, during that era, where after I got put together with Brent, and he'd help me do a lot of stuff. And I kind of got me and Shane got to be better friends and better friends and better friends. And my horses were right here, like but there was still some things that I would see them do that still mesmerized. We got to be really friends. Well, and in the process of being really good friends, Shane added that pizzazz to the show.
Yeah.
That different stuff that everybody else is not going to do. You know, he added that lasting final touch to the horse, so it was beyond a shadow of a doubt the winner. You know, that's his goal.
Is there something?
I mean, he was not satisfied, and he still is not today, which is the greatest thing about him. And his talent is so exceeds.
Yeah.
Is there an example?
That's a great. I've never heard it explained that way, but
I know what you're saying too. Is there an example you can talk about that he might do to polish it a little bit like that?
Yeah, he's just going to push it out of the box just a little bit. I mean, if everybody else is loping slow on the rail, we're loping off the rail. You know, I mean, if we're roping off the rail, we're loping on the rail. You know, I mean, he's just it's like he's gonna be the leader and not a follower.
Yep.
You know,
yeah.
He taught me how, and he was the first one that ever taught me how an arena broke. You know, how a show pin breaks. You know, from corner to corner, to side to side, and how how you break that arena as the horses are showing, so you're always in a showing position, and he still does that today. I mean,
so it's kind of like a football, basketball coach that has it all laid out, like a diagram of
he'll
arena,
diagram the arena, and he'll study all the horses you're going to show against, and he'll know where they're going to break, and he's going to break before they do. And he's a showman. He's a great showman. And in the process of that, we got to be really best friends. I guess we got to be really, really good friends. We've been through bad times, good times, all kind of times, and we still are today.
And he's back. He's down in Florida with you right now, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's been there 2 years.
Yep.
He's doing really good.
I got opportunity one time to give Mr. Dowdy a lesson over some poles and stuff like that. I had a great time. Very intrigued, right? It was like, wow, this guy wants help on a pole, you know? And I'm going, I'll show it to you. I'll show you my stuff. And he's like digging deeper into my stuff. Like, just look here. Just that's you do your thing, and I'll show you where to aim.
Yeah.
Right. And he wanted more, and I go, that's all it is. That's it. Okay. Keep your back feet moving a little bit, and just point in front of the pole, and you're gonna get it. Okay. But it's great. I mean, you know, his mind works fast. Like, you can just feel it. Like, as you're coaching him like that, he's a grabbing for more information. I said,
What's
that's
next?
what I have.
What's next?
Yeah. Yeah. So excellent. Okay. So then tell me, from San Antonio, like, you come back to Pilot Point?
I came back to Pilot Point.
Yep.
And I set up in Pilot Point. I had 2 training horses when I came back. Yep. And a month later we had 50. So it was 50? Really good. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I didn't have any help.
Good math.
It was amazing. I got all my kids came back and, helped me in it, and I was in Pilot Point for a long time.
Met Katie there?
I met Katie in 2008.
Okay, yep.
She moved back into town, and I saw her at a restaurant.
Yep.
And her mom.
He's got to come to San Antonio before he goes to meet Katie.
Did I miss one?
You missed it.
Oh,
you missed
I thought we went
Paradise
there.
Farms.
Okay, so let's go back. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Can't forget San Antonio, man.
I
Come
know.
on.
You can't forget San
Antonio.
I thought we were there.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
No, I went to work. I left.
My bad.
I left Indiana, and I went to work for Charles Percher.
Thank you.
At the World Show that year, and to go to Paradise Farms, and I was there a couple of years, and that's where I met Brad.
Yep.
Where we really got to know each other was when I moved down there. To San
I
Antonio.
always remind Deanna, she used to come up at the La Rose Palace shows, and she'd say, I'll rub your back for like $1. You want me to clean your boots? I'll polish your boot. And she was probably only this tall or whatever. And so she'd say, I'll rub. So she'd take her little fingers and just rub your shoulders right here, buck right there. I mean, she's on.
Wow. Okay, so that's 3 years for Paradise then, like that? 204, 207, 208, like that?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
About 2.5.
Okay.
And then I went back moved back to Pilot Point.
Yep.
My mother lived there.
Okay, there you go.
And I would kind of just stay in Texas and move back up there and set up on our own.
Got it. And then you want to talk about Patty Campbell a little bit and how?
I met Katie.
Yep.
And
married. And you got married.
Well, we got married in 09.
Yep.
And then we met, me and Katie both. I'd known Patty, and then Katie and Patty got to be good friends. Yep. Patty came in and, all of those horses, those really, really nice horses that we had in Pilot Point that we were able to get is all because of Patty Campbell. Yep. I mean, Patty came over and she's got a great eye. Yep. She came over and asked us if we would help the Roberts when they were just now getting started out. And, of course, we said, yeah, we'd be glad to. And that's how we got hooked up with them. But Patty was the reason that there's probably 4 or 5 of those great horses that we were able to show that she orchestrated on how to get it all done.
Right.
And Hillary's about 15, 16 about then? 16?
Hillary was 13.
She's pretty
young.
young.
She was 13. She was pretty young.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of still novice.
Right,
and,
right.
We got some of the horses, and it kind of grew from there. Yeah,
for sure. And then so after that, then you guys go to Florida from there?
And we left and went to Florida.
Yeah.
How
do you like
Florida?
We're glossing over that, but you realize the empire that Rusty and Katie started there with the Capital Quarter horses.
For sure.
I mean, because we've talked about it before the show that really Rusty's not a one-show guy. There's multiple shows, but we're trying to fit as much as we can in here, but we don't want to understate at all what they have been able, what they started with. Yes,
For
Patty
sure.
Campbell was very integral in that, so I'm glad that we definitely
and the Roberts,
right?
Of course,
that they were a really a strong duo, and I mean I had other customers too, Ray and some others that I developed in there that really made a big deal in our whole deal.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of cool actually. Without going all deep into it, it's kind of cool how all that works out with the mare was cooking, good looking, and all that with Ray and Hillary and all. So anyway, sorry.
So how many didn't you win your time with 10 world champions or Congress champions with the Roberts and stuff like that?
Probably a lot more than was there 10, 18?
Yeah, for 18. Sure.
Wow.
So I don't have this on my book, but I'm going to sidebar you. Like, how'd you meet Ray or Nona?
When I moved back to Pilot Point, I'd known Ray I'd known Ray a long time. I used to meet him at some of the Louisiana fraternities and stuff like that. So when I moved back on my own in Pilot Point, he was needing somebody to help him with his horses because he'd always done his own training and he had hurt his hip.
Yep.
And him and Charles came up and brought their horses and asked me if I'd take them, and I took Ray. And that's a story that would take a whole night. The relationship that I have with Ray.
That sounds like NSBA World or something. We get Ray to sit down. We get Rusty to sit down. That'd be a good night right there.
That would. I mean, Ray's he's something else.
Yeah.
So, Bradford, you know what? I'm gonna let you take
oh,
the ball.
Dude, I'm not
Hang on. He'll. Did I tell you about the? I don't think I told you this part.
You didn't. He's gonna freak
out.
out.
Oh my God! I forgot the
just
rapid fire questions. Okay. So So I usually tell him, but I didn't tell Rusty. So there's these 10 questions that I haven't told you yet. I know. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You want a drink before you answer these questions? I wrote the questions though.
Okay. So this is called rapid fire, Rusty.
Okay.
I got 10 questions for you. Do you have music up there, Con? You do? Yeah, I don't hear it, so I just want to. All right, so just as fast as you can, but don't feel pressure. You can push the pass button if you need to. Is there music on there, or did I push the wrong button again? My volume.
Is your volume? Any dump music? Do. No. Your master. Always like
all the way up.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Here we go.
Maybe they're hearing it on
10
the
questions,
show.
guys.
We don't always hear it the same.
Rusty
Okay.
doesn't know the answers.
Rapid fire questions for Rusty Green. Question number 1. What's the first career you dreamed of having as a kid?
Horse trainer.
Wow. Good.
That was quick enough, easy enough. What was the most interesting or embarrassing thing you have seen in a Western pleasure class?
I don't know.
Too many or none? You just can't think of one. All right.
Nothing ever happened.
Because these are always prepared, ready to go, and he's focused on his. He's not watching anybody else in the pen.
Third one.
You've judged, though. You haven't seen anything?
No.
All right.
Really?
No.
Give him number 3.
All right. Number 3.
Thanks, Lena.
Name one of your favorite songs to dance to. There's like 25,000
You want
of
to
them
phone a friend on
probably.
this
Yeah,
one?
there's a ton of them.
Is it so? Give us a genre, country or like.
Rock.
How about that band in Tunica?
The band in Tunica.
They were awesome.
They were awesome. They were awesome. Yeah.
I love that.
Number 4. What is your favorite color shirt you like to show in?
Blue.
Number 5. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate chip.
Number 6. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Going to the beach.
Yeah.
He lives in Florida now. So that had to hit me for a second. Number 7. What is your favorite breed of dog?
I'm going to have to be forced to say bulldog. I have to go home.
I don't know if
tonight.
y'all heard the in the background through the microphones or not. Awesome. Number 8. 3 more. Name your favorite quarterback when you were growing up.
Stallback.
Nice. Go Cowboys. Number 9. Name 2 friends that tell you the funniest stories.
Oh, man. Probably Shane Dowdy.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
there you go.
Yeah, Shane Dowdy and Alan Chappell.
There, okay.
All right, last question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, man, we talked about that.
Save the best question for last, Timmy.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You already told us a couple of them.
Yeah. I mean, the best advice, I guess, the best advice anybody's ever told me is, you know, and it's about relationships. If you get together loving somebody, you just remember what they are when you got together with them.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to be any different.
Yeah.
good.
There you go. See,
Dude,
winner. You came
that's
back.
like-
Big, strong comeback.
That's like
strong
rapid fire
comeback. There you
history
go.
right there. That was a great answer. All right, you did it, man.
Do I keep going, or you want to do a commercial?
I don't know if we have commercials.
Put one on. Put
Yeah,
some
let's let
hamburger.
him take a breather. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. Stay close. I don't want to see a single person leave. We'll be right back very shortly after we
30
thank our
seconds. Here we
sponsors.
go. Bring some.
Here at Rod Patrick, we take the fit process very, very seriously because we know the importance in your performance on how you're fit. So come in, let's give you the opportunity. Tell me what you're experiencing. Tell me what your challenges are. And I know together we're going to find the right answer and you're going to be happier than you've ever been with your boots. Come see me. And thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Smith and Rod Patrick Boots. We appreciate your sponsorship. Looking at him right now, right up here at the Arizona 2021 Sun Circuit.
Right there.
We are back with Rusty Green, Tim Kamara, Brad Jewett. Thanks for staying with us. Nobody left.
Yeah,
That's
good
what
job.
I'm talking about.
So
Kick it.
I have 3 questions. Okay, these are the Trailman questions for tonight. The first one, Rusty, I was going to ask you. There's this term shape, okay, and I hear different ways of explaining it. I'm just curious, the Rusty Green, what that means to you, or can you explain to the audience what you think the word shape means?
When the word shape, I mean, what it means to me is I want, the first thing we're going to do is 60% of the weight on the horse is going to be transferred to its rear end. We're going 60-40. I'm going 60 on the back, 40 on the front. However that horse has to shape to do that, that's what we're aiming for. Talent comes in somewhere in the mix of it. Some horses can be not shaped quite as much. Some have to move over just a little bit more. The thing I want everybody to remember is that when you move one thing over, you got to move the other thing over too. If you move their butt over, their front end's got to move over too. So they will learn to change lanes and do stuff like that, and they'll transfer their weight back to their back.
So
Because that's the only way a horse is going to carry somebody else around.
I'm just curious, maybe it's too easy how I'm asking, but how do you teach that? Like, how do you, let's say it's 70-30 or no, it'd be less, like 50-50. If it's 50-50, how do you get a horse to get to 40-60?
Well, you use your stops, you use your turns.
Okay.
You know, you use your speeding up, you use your lead change, you use all the maneuvers you're going to put together to go do any class out there.
You want to hear that, Red Jewett?
Well, I'm just thinking, 60-40 puts you what, 10% closer to having control.
Right.
50-50, you have zero room for having control, which I found out today in the Western Ride.
right.
So, just from that perspective right there, it allows you to have control, but you don't lose that natural, like he was saying, the balance of it all, get him to match up what he was going back to Dale. You can, if you get 70% hawk, that front end's at 30%, you don't have the balance.
Tell me this one, like a 2-year-old, okay? A 2-year-old this month, where we're March or February, do they start doing, like, what's normal for an average or a nice horse? They come out 50-50, 40-60 the wrong way, or?
No, they'll come out 60-40 the right way.
Okay.
The really the good ones, the ones that are going to put their hand up and say, hey, I want to be a 2-year-old this year.
Yeah.
It's gotten so competitive, and there's so much longevity to our horses now that you don't dare push one too hard.
Right.
Like right now when they're 2, because they're at a very vulnerable state. Everything in this first 6 months is going to teach them to have confidence in what the rest of their life training is going to be.
So I'm just going to
So you got to kind of let them just be their self a little bit. You put them in the right spot to make it easier for them.
So I'm going to go into my second question here, which is the broke question. Like, tell me how you define broke. Explain. I think we were talking about brokenness versus talented horse. I mean, how much do you sacrifice as a 2-year-old, maybe?
Well, the word broke is basically, we're talking about repetition. Your horses require the whole thing about training a horse is repetition. Then talent takes over after that. I mean, you can teach it. You can go over it 50 times a day, and if he's not talented enough to do it, he's not going to get it. You got to be smart enough to realize that we got to move on to something else. Let's don't destroy this horse because there's one thing he can't do.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Broke. It's a whole thing that comes in. I mean, talent's going to have something to do with broke. I mean, I can take one of my best horses that's about half as broke as somebody else's, and I can go out there and win because he's just so much more talented than everybody else.
Is that like?
And I don't want to take that talent away by trying to break him too much.
Right.
To take some of that away.
Is that the one that raises their hand and says, I want to be the 2-year-old?
That's the one that raises their hand. There's some pups out there, too, that maybe not be quite as talented.
Yeah.
But I want the position. I've already read the book. I can do it.
Right.
And those are the ones that the people are going to get to ride. And
Yep.
they're going to have they're just soldiers.
Yep.
Yeah. From the word go.
So my third question.
Those are the ones you're really hoping are mares that you can breed later on, too.
The third question is, what are the common things that you help people out when you see them on the rail or practicing the warrant pin? Is there something common that you kind of see out there a
the
lot?
biggest thing is when you're trying to get a rider and you're trying to help them, teach them to get around on the horse, is you want to see balance. Biggest thing I see is they'll go one way, they look pretty balanced, they'll turn around and go the other way, and they're hanging off the outside. I don't know why it is. I fight with it myself sometimes. We all have an easy way to sit there, and sometimes we don't. I like, I want to help them. I want to see the same wax 60-40. When you're schooling somebody, they learn to put 60% of their weight on their inside leg, 40% on their outside leg, and they'll wind up 50-50. But you got to overdo it a little bit to wind up in the middle. If you stand on the inside, a horse will pop up. If you stand on the outside, a horse is going to drop down.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I see when I go out there and watch people that are trying to ride their horses and people are helping them, and you hang off long enough. I mean, he's going to go that way.
So
I love
see that?
I love the percentage references. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's the same thing we're talking about hind end to front end. I mean, you got to say 60-40 because I mean you got to overdo it a little bit because you're going to lose just a little bit when you get in there. So you want to balance up.
It feels like a mechanic on a car here, right? Exactly.
Well, I mean,
it is, right? And then I put that with the strategy of the arena and stuff like that. So I got to be 60-40 me, 60-40 the horse, and I got to know exactly the position on the rail, right?
Yeah, it depends. The arena's going to break. I mean, that's the beauty of the Western Pleasure class is how the arena breaks. You know, everybody goes, it's not everything you listen. It's easy. It's not easy to break that arena. I mean, that arena breaks. There's 20 horses. All 20 horses are going to break in a different spot. Well, the person that breaks right has got you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And standing in the middle of the pen as a judge, that's pretty much seals the deal.
That was another thing that I kind of passed up in my education of showing horses was when I started judging.
Yeah.
You know, I judged for 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I started judging, I got to be a better exhibitor.
Absolutely.
A way better exhibitor because I did not realize all the little dumb crap I was doing, you know, I did not like to see, that was so distracting.
Yep.
Made me a ton better exhibitor.
Absolutely.
So one thing I'm going to sidebar before I go to my next question is I'm going to give you my Rusty Greenism, okay? So you might not know this, but one day you and I are at Outback at the bar, okay? And I was asking you something about a lesson, and it made so much sense to me. I just can't do it that way. But he was telling me, you know, when I'm giving a lesson, I'm talking, and they should be quiet. My riders should never talk when I give a lesson because you're paying me to give you a lesson. So you're paying me to talk, you to listen. So if you want to say anything during the no, don't say nothing, okay? Let me do the talking, and you should be listening. If you're talking, you're not listening. It was this big lecture. It made so much sense.
It's true.
Yeah, it made so much sense to me when you were telling me this, and it just stuck with me. When I get mad at when I'm out there and I'm schooling, I said, okay, I'm giving the lesson. You just listen. Just do what I tell you to do. Don't talk.
I came to that scenario when, you know, I had a lawyer that was showing, and I mean, she had a great horse, and she would come by, and I was trying to help her stay out of trouble. You know what I mean? Like, do this, do that. What I mean, she was talking before I could ever say anything. So I had to go, look, I can't out-argue you. There's no way. But I can help you get around this arena if you would just listen to me. You know, and I learned that with my kids and my dogs and everything else. I mean, all we're trying to do is keep somebody safe. Right. By giving lessons and everything else. I mean, if you tell your dog to come here and it does not come here, it's going to get run over by a car. Same thing with your children. If you tell your child to come here and it does not come here, he's going to get killed. Right. Same thing with your people that you're trying to help. If
not going to get hurt, he's going to get killed.
He's going to get killed. The car's going to hit him.
I understand, and like I said, it was. I remember the Outback, and I remember you and I were sitting there, and it like stunned me when you said it to me, but it made sense after I listened. I was listening. I wasn't talking. I was listening to you, and it made so much sense. I said, man, I should try to use that sometime. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that one.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep going here. So in 2008, I think it's 2008, you became a $250,000 NSBA guy like that?
Yes, sir.
Were you in the club like that, right? What's that feel like when, like that plateau first, when you first hit that $250,000 mark?
It was something I really never kept up with.
Yep.
I really never did. Katie is more of a Google than I am, so she was more aware of figures and stuff than I never did. The amazing part of it was that we did that before there was ever $100,000 fraternities.
Yeah.
There were no $50,000 fraternities. There were no $20,000 fraternities. There were nothing. I mean, you won 800 here, you won 900 here, you won 700 here, you won this, you did that. You know, that takes a long time.
It's a long time, right?
It's a long time to get to 250.
Right. I get that. And then,
and that's why then when go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, finish.
No, that was why when we went on and and it became $1 million, that it was even that much, because I never won 100,000. Did I win 100,000? I won one.
The Masters.
Yeah, I won one. So, but everything else was just pieced together.
Right.
Just horse after horse after horse. 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 1,000 somewhere else.
Well, Steve Archer commented a little bit ago, didn't know anybody that has had the longevity of success that you've had, and this is attesting to that, right? Like that in itself is, like you say, it's.
Well, Katie had
700 here, 1,000 there, 350. 8,000.
Katie had a big part of that too. I mean, that big swing came from 08. I mean, 16, from 08 to 16. I mean, that's a $750,000 swing.
Right. Is that part of what our industry brought to the table too, as far as purses and things?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's part of that, and a part of the drive. I mean, I met somebody that drove me to do 10 times more things than what I thought I was ever going to do.
Who was that?
That would be Katie.
Big boss.
You know, and I should have added
I know
that
you're
after
talking.
Shane added the pizzazz to it. I thought I really had it, but we're going to do this. This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And then I met Katie, and she added a whole nother level. It's like,
right.
if you can do this, I know we can do this 10 times better. Let's do it.
So then not eventually, but right after Gil became a $1 million man, you followed him. So are you two the only $1 million men right now so far, right?
We are. And Gil did his the same way I did mine. I mean, his is pieced together a little bit at a time.
Yeah, but I mean, how historic that is, right?
Yeah.
It's wild.
I mean, I
Though, before we move on, I have to say, because I've gotten to know these guys pretty good through Deanna and helping her in her youth career and stuff like that. But I have to say, like, he has so much respect for what Katie brings to the table.
Right.
But I have to say, when I've gone and I've stayed in their home, and the respect, I remember one time, Katie, I walked out to the arena and you were telling me about some horse. I couldn't get it to do this. I couldn't get it to do that. Rusty got on. He did his little voodoo magic, and he's like, the thing looked like it was ready to go show and win at the Congress, you know. So there's that mutual respect that goes back and forth. And it's really a cool thing to be able to see how well they work together in their parts of the business.
To share that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's a team, really, actually, all the time.
It is a team.
Yep.
You know?
It takes a team.
So, how about we were talking today. You want to just talk a little bit about a couple of these horses that we're going to talk about, like Potential Divas. She was the first.
Potential Diva was the first AQHA world champion that I ever had.
202 is what I have.
No, that was 08.
08. Okay.
And they were owned by Stephen Sue Thompson,
Yep.
who's been my customers for 36
Wow.
years. They're still my customers, my friends, like family to me, and that's a special deal.
What's the feeling like the first time you win it? Because you were second a few times, weren't you?
I was second,
Right. So you have to climb the mountain, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But then, I mean,
it's one of those things you got to learn how to win.
Right.
You know,
There you go.
You do. You got to learn how to win. And once you finally get a horse that lets you prep them hard enough and lets you trust them enough that you can go out there and lay out, a win and run, that gives you so much confidence on how to win again.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. Can I go to Hot and Blazing like that one?
Hot and Blazing was that was my first Western riding win. I won the Congress and the junior Western riding on him. And that horse was really, really talented. And I didn't even think I was ever capable of winning Western riding. I just showed him into Western riding. It was actually a hunt seat horse. And I showed, and they were like, man, that was pretty good. And so I went back to the stall, got me a snack and probably a drink, and they called it out. And they get down to first, and I'm listening to it. I'm at the Gilligan barn. I'm not even up there. I didn't think I'd win Western riding.
No way.
Yeah. So they was already out by the time I got up there.
Wow.
There was another mare named Hot Rod and Good Time. That was the first big win I'd had. I won the junior pleasure at the Congress on her, and that was the first time I'd won a big one. I'd been second a lot. She was pretty cool.
I have a slate of horses here. I mean, is there any other one you want to talk about? I mean, you can pick one if you want.
Well, the Blazing My Troubles Away really means a lot to me just because of her and Deanna's success.
Right.
And all the people that she did things for. Probably What's Cooking Good Looking was that was a major horse. I mean, I haven't had one like that could win. It won as a 2-year-old, it won as a 3-year-old, it won as a 4-year-old, it won as a 5-year-old, it won as a 6-year-old, it won the youth world twice. It come win the select world. I mean, it just kept coming and coming and coming, and she could do it. And then she went on to everything she's had as one too. So that was a special horse to me.
I mean,
I like the mare I like the other mare, the sorrel mare.
Like I was
Abby.
Only a Breeze.
Only a Breeze, yeah.
I mean, she was really special to me because she just had a heart of gold, and nobody could beat Mino, and nor were they supposed to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was like a mountain that couldn't be conquered, and that horse helped me. That horse helped me do that. You always remember a lot of stuff like that.
The ones that intrigues me is Snap, Crackle, Pop because it's in my
That's
arena,
a funny
right?
story,
It comes to my arena, right?
Yeah, it does.
and I've seen it for quite a while. Can you tell me something about
Tell
that?
the story.
That
Tell
was
us.
an amazing story. of course, we won stuff as a 2-year-old. Ray showed her as a 3, and we get done with a 3. And Katie's playing around with the lead changes and doing some polls and stuff because Ray always sells all these horses when they get to be 3. And so she told the people about him at the Congress and about Snap. And she's little, not a big horse, And their biggest thing was, well, she's too small. She's just not big enough, and she don't have enough step, and she don't have this. And Katie would be so frustrated. She'd come back to the stall, and she was saying this about her horse, you know what I mean? She don't have enough step. She doesn't do this. And so Blake and his mom came, and I don't even know if they came to look at that horse. I think they might have come to look at another horse. They came to look at her. Kendra had talked to Katie, and Katie said, look, I'm telling you, you're missing something in this horse. This horse is special, special, special. She could do anything. So they came, they came, they rode her, they bought her. And, I mean, they didn't steal her. I mean, we got a lot of money for her. And the story goes on. I mean, what did she won the Super Horse 3 times?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a good story. That
horse it's funny because Blake, because he was just newly out on his own kind of deal, and he came to me. It was in Tulsa. I think we were at the holiday. I don't know. It was really cold there. That's all I know. And he came to me because I had a RL mare at the time, and he said, "Is your RL mare sleep a lot?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Kind of the more I ride her, the worse she kind of gets." He goes, "Yeah, that's the way this one kind of is." So I was just making sure, that it wasn't abnormal for that kind of deal. He goes, because I mean, at that time, the mare was Blake was already doing amazing things with her. But when you watch, especially when he was young at that time, he's watching everybody else lunge and ride and lunge and ride. And he's just like, this thing's easy and talented and good.
So I got a couple more questions. I'll be done. But, like these other horses or the horses that you've won with and done wonders with, I mean, what is it that they do that they raise their hand and say, I want to be the one? Like, is that a question? Like you tell me, oh yeah, pick me, Rusty, pick me. I want to do it. Okay.
Well, they're just talented. They're just talented. Those horses are really, really talented.
Is there something
I was thinking before I came down here, everybody says what makes the horse you want. You really don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. They bred me to play football. I can't play football. I'm too small. I'm little. I'm slow. I'm too slow. I can't play football. But everybody, we breed horses and we go, well, we bred it to this horse and she's out of this one and it's going to do this.
Right.
That don't mean nothing.
Right.
It just, I'm not, neither one of us sitting here play basketball.
Right.
We'd love to.
Kona.
You know what I mean? So I mean that the horses, that's the way I look at them. Yeah. They just have it, it's the realizing what part of it that they have is what makes you a really good horseman. Horse rider. Not, you can't force it down their throat. You just realize the talented things they have and the talent and the spots they need to be in. It may not be in the pleasure. It might be in the trail. It might be in the Western riding. It might be in the showmanship. It might be old Shep that's going to teach this little 2-year-old girl to ride in her backyard. But, you got to recognize this stuff like that.
Well, and I'll tie this in a little bit because you said, on the end of the rapid fire questions about relationships. And so a lot of what you're saying, as I'm looking at this list, and I'm going to read this list in a second, a lot of these had great owners.
And owners are so, we hadn't even got to that.
So when you have owners that believe in you, and you're saying we're not pushing it, that if we rush it, we're going to screw this thing up, and you won't have a horse, or and other owners if there's 32-year-olds out there and there's 2 of them that make it, and the other owners are not jumping ship. But they're going, okay, well, I guess we'll wait on mine for next year. All of that, to me, that says a lot about Katie and Rusty, about being able to have the relationship with these people that know they're not pulling their leg. They're not trying to make a buck of another month of training. They're saying, you can see the whole picture when you really step back of the talent. They believe in Rusty and Katie, and their program and their vision and all of that. And then just when the timing is right, they're like, okay, now it's this horse's time to step up and do something.
Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about this one? One more. And this is like wild card kind of.
He says one more like 20 more times. I'm just warning you.
I know. I told you I was just going to do this, and this, and be done. But okay, we
it's
always
like
talk
it's time
about the
for
younger
dinner.
trainers. Okay, next generation, and I always like to finish with this. So, what do you see the younger generation people? I mean, I don't know if it's going to say Aaron or some of these younger guys that are come along. What do you think about them? A, and then B, how about what advice would you give younger assistants that might want to go and go on their own and do something like this event?
You know what? When I look at the younger guys, I see the work ethic. I mean, they're better. They work hard. They're just, the talent. When they do come out, they're most of them are smart enough to work for the right person, and do put their time in and stuff like that. They really work hard. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them. I walk out there and watch that in the Western riding pen all day today.
Right.
You don't go. You look at there's 40 people out there that can do the Western riding. There used to be 4.
Yeah. True.
It's not like
It's
that
true.
anymore.
It's true.
And the ones that are still learning are out there watching you guys, trying to figure out how in the hell you're doing it. I'm out there watching Jason Martin today, trying to figure out
me
how he
too.
gets that horse to change leads like that.
I love it when I get to
right.
end up when I get to end up in the warm up pit with Jason Martin. I love it.
He was out, and I was sitting there watching it, and that's just me. I know I can do it, but I watched do it. I watched a guy that is phenomenal doing that.
Yep.
And I see these younger people watch. They sit out there and they watch and they watch and they watch. And I'll look at some of them. Sometimes they're watching me. I'm like, man, don't watch me. Not in this arena. But I think they're just they're
learning.
good.
Staying with the program and stuff like that.
Right.
I guess I can use the list too. Is there's a lot of people that have worked for you, like your branch, your coaching tree of people that you've helped, right? You want to mention any of those or?
No, there's just a ton of them.
Yeah, there is. Are you going to skip one?
We already mentioned Andrew.
Yeah, we mentioned Andrew. There's a ton. There was Andrew. Andrew Rusty was amazing. Okay, Maggie Rusty was amazing. Just the things that we were able to accomplish, and the time, and the camaraderie.
Y'all following that?
And
how they worked.
Yes,
because if you've watched it, and I've got to be there firsthand at how that's how so many of Rusty's horses have been so good. It's not just Rusty's horses; it's their clients' horses. It's the horses that his assistants are riding. When he's saying Maggie Rusty, Andrew Rusty, they knew how.
There was Shannon Rusty.
Yes,
yes. And then there's been some other people that filled in, like Scott Weiss was there. He was amazing. RJ was there for a little while. He did a great job.
I know. I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you won't be able to name them all, and I don't want to texting you going you didn't mention me. So I understand. I don't want to put you on the hot seat there, but
is it fun to watch?
And I got a new guy right now. I got to mention him, Martin.
Yep.
Yeah,
so Martin Rusty is going to be really cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just because that's
he
has it.
Yep.
I
agree.
He's not
I like
pushing.
Martin a
He's
lot.
not pushing to try to go do his own thing. He's loving the team. He's and he's a new one that's come around that's really amazed me.
Yep, you found another one.
Do you enjoy watching people that work for you go on and have a business for themselves too, that?
It's very very
good for your soul.
It
right?
makes me feel amazing.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
They've been on your team and
that's amazing.
They go on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bradford, I'll give it to you.
Oh wait, let me get a little bit of music here. Somewhere.
RG, you were so good tonight.
He was awesome.
We still got our
did we expect any different? I told him the other day, everybody gets a little bit worried when we ask him to come on the show. And I'm excited to have Brent Tincher. I texted Brent. He was supposed to be on 2 weeks ago, I think. He's like, I'm going on vacation. And then I called him, left a message, and he didn't respond. And so then 4 days later, he left me a voicemail. I'm so sorry. He goes, that was so bad of me. And I can't do his impression like you can. He's like, I'm so sorry. And he has his grandkids, and he had I think he had been, some of them had been sick or something like that. He was just up to. I said, dude, don't stress about it. I said, as long as you're telling me you're cool with it and you'll be on at some point. I said, do you have? And I was in Florida when I asked him, and her name is slipping my mind, and it's a shame because she rides for Auburn and Olivia. Yes. I said, Brent, do you have anybody that is a techie, that can help you get? And Olivia goes, no. She goes, I'll do it. So we know
Thanks,
that Brent's
Olivia.
going to be on here at some point, so I can't wait to hear the Rusty stories from there. But before we go, I want to, and there's some horses on here
go ahead.
that are missing, but I'm gonna list these. But I want you to add in Abby's and those horses because they're not on here, I don't believe. But I'm gonna read these off, and I'm gonna slide Blazing My Troubles away up high because she's special to me too. But Potential Diva, Blazing My Troubles away. Hot and Blazing, What's Cooking, Good Looking, Snap, Crackle, Pop. Rock County Kid, which was NSBA Horse of the Year, and if there's any others, holler at me. Roses Only, Radically Fired Up, Classic Coupe, Invite Me for Cookies, Surely I'm Good, Sudden's Leading Lady, RA Undisputed. Wow, Talk About Lazy, She's My Kind of Rain, Go Figure, Dark Jasmine. I mean, if there's any others that pop into your mind, okay, we should probably bring Katie in at this
Certainly
moment.
Inspired. No.
Yell it out, Katie. Who? No, who'd you say? Certainly Inspired.
Yes.
Mr. Aftershock, yes. Sugar Ray, Florida Georgia Line. I mean, the list
Are those
goes
trail
on and on.
horses?
Katie, if you think any more,
Yeah, they
just
are.
holler them out at me. But amazing amount of horses. I remember when I was with
Don't
y'all.
forget Spot.
When Katie had this deal made up when we were at the Congress and it hung on the wall of all the different horses that they had, it was kind of an artwork kind of thing that hung in the where we lounged at, I guess is what you call it. And that was really cool. And that was the first time it really made me think, holy crap, these guys put out some great horses.
How about this, Archie? For you, like, there's such a journey. We talk about journey, touching people, and all that kind of stuff. Isn't it kind of fun to go back to the beginning, your roots and stuff like that, and like think about? Because who has time to think about your roots and your story and how you travel and the people that have helped you along the way, right? And I think that's such a cool thing to recap. And all the horses, owners. I mean, you have so much history in you, which is great.
Seven horse of the years, NSBA horse of the years.
Yeah,
7.
That's the best part of this show.
I was thinking like 3.
To have it documented, right?
Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
That's
Steve
awesome.
Archer. Katie never forgets a horse.
right. Love that.
Hey, Steve, today Katie and I were watching the Western Riding, and she goes, that one reminds me of Gumby. Lope on in.
Yeah.
Lope on in. How funny.
I always wanted to ride Lope on in, so I finally got a horse that looks like him.
Yeah, and it was the one Rusty was on. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching tonight.
Archie, thank you.
Thank you,
Sam.
brother.
All right.
That was awesome. I promise you this isn't the last time we have him on. He's just hard to find, or not to find, to round up, because we know he's a wanted man. But thanks for being here, man. I know it was a labor of time for you, so thank you. We caught him at the right
What a
time.
treat, you guys. What a
Katie,
treat.
thanks for being our fact checker
Thank
back
you,
there.
Katie.
And stay tuned. For those of you that don't know, we have the Horse Show Network app coming out soon. You'll be able to log on there. If you want to watch Rusty Green Show, punch his name in. You can pull up his show right away. So thank you for watching. Be heads up for the app. It should be coming out, I hope, within the next few weeks. And we'll see you guys. I don't know. When we're at horse shows, we just find somebody and we bring them in. But we've got a lot of potential guests here that we're looking forward to. So, hey, Jonathan Mueller, you've been quiet all
Where
night.
you been,
What the
Jonathan?
heck?
Wow.
You didn't say a single word all night? Usually, and I have to say this before we go, when we have a guest of this stature, usually people don't type much. They just listen.
Well,
because they just want to learn and hear the history.
You know who wanted to type in today? It was Carrie Graham. She said, I want to type in for Rusty Green.
Where are you, Carrie Graham?
She was saying, I better be nice.
All right. All right, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
If you're looking for a smarter way to ship, look to Unishippers. We've been helping small to medium-sized businesses cut their shipping costs for more than 30 years. You'll get significant savings with UPS and more than 65 LTL freight carriers by leveraging the group buying power of our 90,000 plus customers. Unishippers is a one-stop shop for reliable shipping, significant savings, exceptional personal service, and easy online logistics management. Let Unishippers deliver for you. Call Mark and his team today.